know. Let's stay with sports, man.
Everybody, time for Victor Allen's New Sports. Hot Neil Urban, brought to you by the bald-headed black man. Here he comes. Here's Vic.
All that extra.
Yeah.
If I had such a popular sports show,
the man,
I would have a co-host female.
Well, we do, but they couldn't make it today.
No. They would sit up here and go like, "You're going to be my co-host," and I would serve them. I would really serve them. Welcome to New Sports, you guys. What do we say is new? It's new because pretend like we know what we're talking about.
We say it's new.
We say it's new. It is a wonderful day. 2013, we're going to start off with a couple of subjects here, but I first want to let you guys know that at New Sports, it's the conversation around sports, and then we just try to inject what we believe you guys are paying attention to or following. So you can always follow New Sports on Twitter, as well as Pack Stereo.
And the website.
Oh, yeah, and the website as well.
www.NUSportz.
Z, not because we're being grammatically correct, because we were being different.
We're urban.
I say it a different way.
Gotta mean something.
That's right. This is what we do. On the topics where it's applicable, we actually have categories where we say, hey, you know, what do we think it is? And I'm going to let you know what that is first in the beginning. Balling, upset, let down, whatever, big pimping, something for the ladies, AARP for those who stay in the game too long, or if people are talking about it, they need to get out of the game, who's talking about it, staying too long. And, of course, the new one that everybody's jumping on, spanked that ass. And then we're going to lead that off with the Lakers because I think they're getting what they call a lot of spanked that ass on a regular basis, and because they're in such disarray and recently losing their two big men to now set them afloat on this journey on the road trip through Texas and Oklahoma. I said they're about to lose their next 3 games. They lost against Houston yesterday. They're about to lose against San Antonio, and they will get served maybe in Oklahoma. Now, I hope to be wrong. Now, before I go there, I'm the one of the belief that everybody assumed that they would probably get into the playoffs. There's a number of factors that takes place for the playoffs to affect a team. There's always these surprise teams that may come up. And there's always the surprise teams that are let down. Well, the part about trying to come up, it's harder to climb the hill. You can always step down from it and slow your roll maybe. But when you're trying to come from bottom up with injuries, lack of chemistry, direction, belief, hustle, what else do I need to say? It made me think, what is the percentage that the Lakers will not make the playoffs? It was assured for most people until about a couple of weeks ago. So, Mario, here's my question. I'm actually saying Lakers will not make the playoffs because they haven't stopped the slide. Now, I may be wrong, but I'm going to give you a percentage of what I think they may get into the playoffs. What do you think?
Well, I think when it goes to, first of all, everybody apologize to Mike Brown. Apologize now. Take it all back. It had nothing to do with Mike. See what I'm saying? Now y'all talked about him, dissed him, everything else, and they probably wouldn't be doing that much better if they had Phil Jackson. You like to believe they would. I don't believe they would. And the other thing is, you know, they're at the point where they're being compared to some of the famous or more infamous Laker teams that included folks like Benoit Benjamin,
right,
in the past. But it's amazing that, however, they come out yesterday with a weaker team and look better to everybody, which goes back to what we say before. So the chances are there that the Lakers will not make the playoffs. I've been reading the excerpts. You know, I have my own beliefs. To me, it has to do with the fact that the one criticism I will say of Kobe that I've always had different than other people, and is that, to me, he does not inspire the people around him to actually play better. Right. He never has. Right. The other thing is that I think the personality issues of him somehow, you know, having his own whatever personality issues, I think that's what's haunting him.
Okay.
And that's what's coming to bear.
He's A-type.
Well,
and his own,
you could be A-tape because all of the great ones kind of are. But he doesn't. Somehow, Vic, there must be at least some kind of a communication issue.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was the most popular for not saying anything and embracing anyone, and he got away with championships. And I'm going, if you ever want to compare somebody who can go like, this guy doesn't seem to care or as infected by anyone as him being this man you can approach and everything. He was just very monotone in his tone and just went about, but he wasn't Kobe.
Well, that's what I'm saying. My thing has to do with him. Okay. If not so, I don't think that he's terrible at it. I just think he's kind of average. There are those players that inspire you when you play with them.
Right.
And there are people that you play with that are excellent.
Right.
That are better than everybody else, but they're just somehow not inspiring as people.
Right.
Okay, and to me that's Kobe.
You need leaders.
I think he never has been that. He'll come in, he'll do what he does.
Right.
I also think that people like him mistake leadership for being the best.
Would you having somebody you are gifted in sports, nobody knows all this, you keep it in wraps, so got that. So here's my point. You're on the team. You're football. You got a player that's like him. Would that anyway stop you from being the best that you could be?
Oh, hell no. Wonderful opportunity.
You see?
So that's where the gut check comes for the individual people. Okay, for example, I'm watching Steve Nash do what he does in the way that he does it.
Right.
Incredibly consistent.
Right.
I'm actually seeing Kobe do what he does.
Right.
He'll go, like I said to me, it's never a matter that he'll be the high scorer or this and that. But to me, that's where he's different. Okay, and I think people have no players like that. I think we've played with people like that. You know, and I think he even tries to play the game publicly. Right. I think he practices so much his image and what to say that he's constantly trying to say the right thing. It's just that even as he says it, always has a disingenuous feel to me when he's speaking. I always feel like somehow he's smirking, he's playing a role, he's faking it. And that's the way I've always been affected by him. I don't feel him.
Right.
He doesn't inspire me as a person. So even with his high points, he bores me.
So what you're saying is we have a lot of players on the Lakers who don't like to be leaders of men. And you can point out Kobe all day long, but one thing I can go when the check is when I look at merchandising, I look at the output of production, I look at all those things at the end of the day. I said, you meet and exceed those things as it relates. Now, if players come around you, and I go like this, it's just me now, nasty attitude. We've played in our own way of being around people who are just terrible to play with, but they make you want to do better.
Right.
If these players are sitting here going like, it's Kobe,
well, then
to me, that tells me more about them than
totally. And I agree. And it's so interesting. Okay, but there's a specific one. What about Antoine Jameson? Okay, who's been in the media, right? Mm-hmm. He says the right things, and then he says, I don't get any minutes to prove it.
And then when he gets them, what happens?
Well,
that's
why I asked. I said, I'm saying that to you because at least he had said, okay, you've heard people attempt on the Lakers to address it publicly.
Right.
Well, maybe because they're getting asked. Right. So maybe because they're forced to.
Right.
But they all are saying the same kinds of things, right?
Right. They are saying, look, and I'm looking at this. I mean, everybody's finding the reasons for it, and we've seen teams that do this all day long. That come up, rise above expectations, or they deliver. I'm all of that Charles Barkley rule, and he says it. And he says, look, teams come with a philosophy of hustling on both ends of the court. Lakers have always been known as being the show on the offensive side, having the Hall of Fame players, having them known for how they produce points. To come in and play defense, that's not what the Lakers' mantle or mantra has been. That when you play with us,
lately
we muscle up on you.
Because James Worthy would get pissed off at you for saying that.
Yeah, but that's not the history of the
Lakers. But he would talk about his team with Cooper
back in the 80s.
They were that's what I'm saying. I know. But that's why that's why they have trouble, right? Because the Lakers didn't always mean that.
Right.
To me, they did play defense. Magic was that's what upsets Magic.
Then when you say Detroit Pistons right now, don't you think defense?
Yeah.
Okay, and they haven't won a championship in over 10 or something years, but their reputation is still defense. Even with them losing. When you think of Lakers, you just don't think of defense. When you think of
Kobe's Lakers. Well, even though you always remind me he's a defensive player.
He's played. See, my point is, I think the players on the team can always point and say, he's this, he's this. Okay, take Kobe out. Now watch what happens. Do you guys go to this?
No,
there's 30 points that's being removed. Not too many assists. 5 maybe on the assists and a few steals. Here's the part that gets me. I said, go make up for that production. The only way you can do it is defensively. You have to shut people down because you don't have the offensive weapon. So I agree. He's not the ultimate leader. And I understand that. I said, but you guys are at, name a couple of the franchises you could be at and go, I'm at with somebody who's the closest thing historically to Michael Jordan. Whether his attitude is not, I don't care about his attitude.
I'm in L.A.
Yeah, in L.A. Mm-hmm. You're in Showtime Hollywood.
I would be hustling.
And he's got 5 NBA rings. At what point do you go like, you know what, you need to prove something else to me?
No, but here's what you do. You take a moment and you give Meta world peace.
Props.
Yes, give Meta. First of all, focused, you guys. You know how much he does it.
All season.
You know, he stays attention to stuff, and you have to give. He's been doing it for a while.
This is what
keeping
they said.
His nose clean. So, and you know, just leave him. Just you got to give my man a lot of credit. A lot of credit.
What they said is when the players come into the regular season, you'll know how serious they are. If they always come in, he says he's still getting into shape. I said, oh, so that's what big time ball players. They wait till the regular season start to start getting in shape. Ray Lewis stayed in shape year round. Right. LeBron, year round. Michael Jordan, year round. You got players year round. Lakers, you could see that this is one of those things of we're at the Lakers. You know, it's going to roll in. They're not going to be able to turn on the defense the way they want because you have to sustain it.
Okay, right.
So here's the thing. Is it a letdown right now for you, Mark? See, I already said they're getting their ass spanked, so I'm not.
It's a letdown. It's a letdown. It's a letdown for me because you know what? I like Steve Nash. I actually like Paul Gasol. I supported him more than others. To me, he gets such a raw damn deal. Yeah. He gets such a raw damn deal. Yeah. And then I go like he's still one of the premier big men. And alongside someone like Dwight Howard, I was still dreaming. I love him alongside any of the other big men.
Yeah.
Where he moves, use him for what he does best, his strengths.
Right.
Just don't seem to even hear the right dialogue. So I'm let down. I'm let down about Steve Nash. Kobe, it's what I actually expected. I'm not surprised.
Right. So same here. All right. Well, hey, just to remind you, PMC, when those rumors become really something we can chew on about a 3 to 4 team trade, we'll follow it up. But I don't want to put it out there.
Will D'Antoni be there next year?
Oh, at this rate right now, it's going to take a godsend. It is because he hasn't. The snowball is still building steam. And we're already in January. I mean, this right now, how can you turn this around so quickly? Okay, let me go on over to this other one. Just for you guys to know, the first Hall of Fame voting, you know, you got to get 75% of the vote to get into Major League Baseball Hall of Fame voting. Clemens and Bonds only received about 36, 37%. So that first round already goes to those voters. But next time around, I expect that percentage to climb. And then also
with time and everybody dies,
right?
Other people voting,
right?
They'll ignore stuff because they won't care.
Right.
It's the whole era of steroids,
right?
And they don't know how to deal with it,
right? And the part that you guys, if you ever, Lance Armstrong, of course, deciding should he admit to the use of steroids. So that whole story in itself is like a feature film.
How you gonna be trying to decide publicly? I'm trying to decide if I'm admit that I had sex with that woman. I can't remember enough to tell you right now.
All right, that's cool. All right, this next story is simple because we're not going to discuss a lot. We're just going to find out. It's a twist to it. Whenever there's a football player or professional sports player, it's anyone, and they all of a sudden are charged with assaulting their wives. We got to remember what Chad Johnson, Ochocinco had went through. And I always say, you know, when you do this, we always kind of understand the nature of it because you get a lot of details. Well, I'm going to wrap this a different way. New York Jets linebacker charged with assaulting wife. Now, it's Mr. Thomas. You know, Mr. Thomas.
It's hard on the Jets these days.
He's got problems. Now, here's the question. Here's the question. See, I got this a little bit different.
Damn, Jets.
They say when you assault somebody, they want to say, well, when we went to, of course, arrest or charge him, he was found with the possession of painkillers and marijuana. Well, my question is, it's a little bit different. Which one led him to assault his wife, the painkillers or the marijuana? Mario.
You don't smoke a bunch of weed and go kick nobody's ass. That's the one thing you don't do. Now, alcohol, you going to tell everybody, Mama, you always love you more. You never love me. Marijuana, you don't go smoke a bunch of weed and go out and kick people's ass. You sit and watch Lucy reruns. Yeah, Flintstones too.
All right, so it was just want to let you know that to me, when I saw the story, I said, look, I don't like anything dealing with assault. It's terrible. Don't endorse it. But when you have two of those particular things in your possession, there's always a motivating factor, and maybe the painkillers are overprescribed. I'm just giving him the benefit of the doubt because Mario makes a good point. So we already know this is not only a letdown, it's tragically a letdown. Mm-hmm. He's a New York Jet letdown. There's nothing good about this.
It's hard to be.
It's hard to be right now, right?
He's a letdown amongst letdowns.
Well, let's go over to somebody who we now know is probably going to be in our discussion of being the most demanded linebacker for off-season retirement opportunities, which means not only does Commissioner Roger Goodell want this man, ESPN and other networks want this man, reality shows probably want this man. I think they're all lining up. He's the next closest thing probably as it relates to Barkley being like, I'm not the personified reporting journalist, broadcaster, or an analyst. I'm just me. Well,
he got to prove to be entertaining, and I'm not sure about that.
Well, no, they didn't have to groom him to be something different to fit that they call the mantle of the typical broadcast reporter. He kept.
Well, as I was saying, it's been amazing to me who you like and who you don't. That's all I'm saying. It's always been kind of funny with that. You like a lot of people who were never that great a player.
Right. Don't you think right now we expected to see more from Shaq? More than he's
not that good.
And we expected more, didn't we?
He's not bad. He's not bad. I like Shaq, but you know where he's more fun, where he's being his playful self.
Right.
And the show format, you know what? It's the show formats. Okay. You know what? I also think it's too formal.
Right.
For him.
That's why I said
the suit and tie thing with him sitting up there.
He's a man that likes to do
he wants to have fun.
Animated.
Yeah, I like
put him into projects where he can be
We could do a show with him with Sportz.
Yes.
That, like the way Sally used to do it, John Sally sitting on a chair and all that. I think then you would have, because Shaq's my man, you know he has wonderful perspective, but that show has a specific format.
Right, and right now.
And he's not good in that format to me.
No, Kenny is very good because he's
they
just
fit
good.
in that format. See, you have to fit that format.
Barkley is the target that everybody gets to make fun of. They say you either are the one who's good at shooting the shots or the one receiving it. And when you can mobilize people to talk about you a lot, you've accomplished something big. But when you stay in neutral zone, Shaq, somebody's got to say, we got to put you in other areas.
You saw how it was with Shaq and the boys, which included Barkley, right?
Right.
It didn't have the same flow, right?
Right.
All right. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not blaming my man. I think you and I have talked about that format.
Right.
It really is a conservative format.
It is.
What's with everybody now? Even I'm tired of the suits.
The suits all day long.
What is with sitting around in these suits talking sports? Because that's it's like a throwback thing to like what?
It really doesn't. Now, let me say this:
way back.
If they're getting the numbers coming in that women really like to see the men because they're trying to capture that female market more because men are going to come to the sports regardless. So maybe that has something to do with it. And we don't know. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they are going like the women really like to see the men in the suits. Because they don't get to see them that
I guess, because somebody was like it. Because I'm conscious of it. It's a stiff form. It works with certain people. I'm not against because I like it with certain people and certain things.
I agree.
But I don't like it in other things.
I agree. I don't either.
And I know if you and I were in control, it's the exact stuff we would experiment with.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I think the suit part gets into something that is a culture that they feel better and more comfortable with. And I think it has to lend towards respect and everything. And then all of a sudden, that's just corporate going, here's the culture we always want to project. But I'll leave that alone. That's a good subject to talk about again.
Yeah,
too.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's stay to Ray now. Here's the thing. The question is Ray a top 3 or top 5 linebacker all time? I didn't say the top linebacker all time because I think now
that's hard to compare.
You got game changers. And whether you go to Butkus, whether you go
Willie Lanier, my high school number 63.
Well, see, now you're talking about. See, my whole point is LT Lawrence Taylor. He brought the speed. No one can stop him.
Hall of Fame.
Right. So you got people who've done things, but this is the best leader I've ever seen. And let me say something else. There's
Probably.
a lot of people don't like him from the conservative side who probably not into sports because they attach
They don't know him.
the murder thing he went through.
Right.
We understand that. But as a leader, here's the part. Mark, do you believe he's top 5, top 3, top or number 1?
Top 3.
Top 3. Who's in that?
Well, let me say top 5. Butkus is in there. See, what happens is they didn't have the benefit of the full-time training all year round. They had to just go in natural. Nobody in the old days of our days, Vic, was doing the kind of weightlifting these cats are doing. That's why you don't look at the old players.
Right.
They don't look buffed.
Right.
Except Jim Brown, who just looked buffed no matter what.
True.
But no one, I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So all the players of modern time have benefited from those weightlifting programs and probably the steroids.
Right.
But the weightlifting programs, that's why now they're all beasts. The average specialty, everybody on every NFL, the wide receivers are cut.
Right.
And remember in our day, we had like some skinny, lanky ones, and all. Now they're all like cut. So no.
Yeah.
Keeping all that in mind, you have to admire the qualities of leadership and what that represents relative to your time. Butkus was a leader of his time.
Right.
Lawrence Tanner, I don't know as much in terms of that for him. He benefited from having strong coaching leadership.
Right. Great team.
Great team around him, so I don't know. But because of the other reasons.
But he changed the game as far as linebacker.
So, and certainly played it in a way that pretty much had never been seen.
And unstoppable.
And unstoppable. So he's in the top 5. So Ray is in there. Even though I don't think he was the physical monster that, say, Lawrence Tanner was.
Lawrence Taylor?
I mean, Lawrence, excuse me, sorry, I said Tanner. Lawrence Taylor was. Butkus was huge for his time. Remember, Butkus was a huge middle line for that time. He wouldn't be for this time. But Ray, in terms of the all-around things, Vic, it's hard. And you got to throw leadership in there. He may have been, like you said, one of the guys. Okay, when you could tell when the other people on other teams and coaches, these are people who play against you, and they hold you on a certain level that they still gonna come hug you, everything at the end of a game, like that coach, but like Pagano, you learned, you got to see that your people. So no, because of that, he's in that top 5. Vic. He doesn't have to. He's still not the most overwhelming physical one,
right?
And but in terms of leadership,
more athletic. Though.
Yeah, certainly more athletic in terms of leadership, approach, and consistency.
Right.
No, he's in the top 5.
Okay, I'll flirt with 3 because the other guys didn't have the speed, and I know that in linebacker world where it comes from, what these guys are doing now, you're watching linebackers chase receivers down. That really never existed. You got to them in a certain area, but once they're playing these specialized defenses where it's 4-3-3-4, and when that linebacker has to chase you, and I watched this with a couple of games, I think it was Cincinnati. Their linebacker, I can't remember his name. I think he's Polynesian, and they watched him. He's good, but the speed he didn't have to follow, say that tight end or what have you. And I was going, but he was staying with him. Well, here's a guy that most people have to go back and look at Ray Lewis when he first started. And one former NFL player has said, I went to look at the film. This guy comes from New England Patriots. I forgot his name. And he said, I watched this guy. We kept saying, who is this guy who's everywhere? And linebackers didn't do that. So I'm going to give him top 3 only because I know the strength thing is big, but speed kills.
Well, it always has to do for linebackers, left to right, and range. You have someone historically that had more range than others.
Yes.
But he definitely, and again, you got to throw in the fact that Vic, part of that was he always was in amazing condition.
Yes.
Always stayed in amazing and we know because of our other friends, right?
That's right.
We have privy to some information about people who worked with him. So we know he traveled with a trainer. No, he came out here to do events.
Right.
He had a trainer with him.
Right.
So he brought his trainer with him wherever he went and was on a full regimen every day through every day of the year.
That's right.
So
I'm giving props to him. He's not only big pimping, balling.
Yeah.
And let me say this so you guys, if you want to know this, he gets 2 or 3 categories. When I talk to women and I say, outside of Tebow, which he's lost stock now. Okay, we all know that. But when it comes to that group of women, when I say Ray Lewis, and they don't even watch football, they say, and I just had somebody over yesterday and says, "Oh, my heart is broken. He's retiring." I said, "But you don't even watch him." He said, "That's okay. It's okay." So
Go Ray.
Go Ray. All
Yeah.
right. Ray, big pimping for the ladies all day for them. So, hey, man, I wish I had your madness. Now it's time to go over and say, you know what? I'm damn mad. I'm damn good. Because when I got fired, Rob Ryan, that's who I am, I'm mad. Why did I get fired when I was the more bright spot
I'm
of
mad.
what happened with the Dallas Cowboys?
I want revenge.
So this is
My patience thin. I want revenge. I want revenge. Can I get some hits?
This is wrong. I was shocked by this. Now, I'm not saying, I think personalities, strong personalities on the Dallas Cowboys, this is something that comes to the territory. But here's my motto.
I didn't know their stats. Did you know their stats?
31st, before he came on board, they were 31st in the league in defense. 31st.
And they're still the 30.
No, they're not.
I thought somebody was quoting me that this still was the worst Dallas defensive performance.
Yeah, if you compare it towards the Dallas defense, but you're talking about the league that you're playing in. When he came on board,
so they did. So in other words, there's maybe I'm just to make sure I understand. The inference was he didn't make them better at all.
No, he made them better. It's a statistical fact. I have to give you the numbers.
So because something has to be funny. Someone is misquoting the statistics then.
Because they're talking about
you can't make them better and be the worst team.
Yeah, see, they're not the worst team in defense.
No, they said the worst Dallas team. In other words, if they said it was the worst Dallas defensive performance in the last 6 years.
They're comparing to the Dallas of the other team.
Right, so you can't statistically be the worst of that and still be better than them.
No. See, what I was saying is they're comparing the defense. He says, when I came in, Rob, that's me, Dallas was 31st in the league in defense. When I came in, and I improved the team, I forgot where they're at. I'm not sure if they're 17th or 20th in the league. They weren't comparing against other Dallas defenses.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said someone has to inevitably be having a misuse of the statistics.
That's
because remember, the part that was the bottom line is when you say, I made them better.
Right.
And either you did or you didn't.
Right.
And if they're actually the worst team in 6 years, if they really are the worst team in 6 years, of the Dallas Cowboys, then where they place in the league is irrelevant.
Right.
They're still worse.
Right.
Off.
Everybody who's reporting got the data, and I didn't get the data because of some other things.
I don't know that they said that, but that's what they were quoting. Something like that. It's the worst Dallas performance in 6.
What's being reported amongst all the broadcast journalists who's watching, they said he was the brightest success in that team as it relates to getting them up to speed with the type of defense that they had, even though it was already poorish and bad. They said when they point to the success of the Dallas Cowboys, they said what was better? They said Rob Ryan's defense and his culture, what he was implementing. Not the quarterback, not the coach, not the receivers who are all over town.
So they don't have any data to back that up.
No, they. I'm gonna get the data.
Because I thought the numbers. I thought the part that I didn't realize is that when they put out his numbers are bad. So what I looked at him, there's kind of no, his numbers are not good. I just didn't realize that they're
in the league though.
Yeah, but they're just not better. So I don't know where he can say he made them better. That's my point.
That's his argument.
You can say, yeah, I will go because better is better.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. He's standing on the thing that I made them better, and relative to what, and it doesn't make any difference here.
Yeah, because the numbers they were quoting on the news were bad.
Well, see, this is why I'm saying it's how they're using the data, like you said. And here's what difference does it make if they are better and they still don't get in the playoffs? So it
makes a difference if you're the reason for that, because if you're getting fired and it had nothing to do with you, we know other firings have been political, like some of the Eagle firings, were political, and some of the Eagle hirings before Andy, right? And so you wonder what that has to do with.
I think it has a lot to do with it. I think they're actually going over a fine line to prove a point that I said transfer it over to wins and playoffs, and I said, well, it doesn't make any difference. It wasn't good enough.
It's like this. And who do you think is pulling the strings? Jason Witten, right?
Oh, you mean far as the tight end?
No. For firing him.
Oh, Jerry Jones, you mean? You said Jason Witten.
The coach.
Yes,
because usually
Jones.
The owner's not going to be the one who's picking and choosing your staff. Jason Witten is the one who's firing him.
Not Jason. That's the tight end.
Oh, excuse me.
Jerry Jones.
No, the coach.
You're talking about the coach, Garrett.
Jason Garrett.
Yes, Garrett.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Jason Garrett, he's the coach, so he fired him. Everybody, because traditionally when a coach, when they do poorly, sometimes to me in an effort to appease the ownership, they like to look like they're making changes.
Right.
Like to me, his brother at the Jets likes to look like he's making changes. Now I'm not sure he is making changes, but he fired Sperano, right?
Yep.
After his brother, right? So, so to me, when the coaches do poorly, like Jason Garrett, I'm sorry about that, you guys. It's the Jason part that kept throwing me off.
Right.
When you do poorly, I think you try to look around and scapegoat, to me, to a certain degree, and fire assistants. Now, maybe that's part of this whole thing, because I don't know, even though they're Dallas, I'm not sure that, to me, is that why we think Dallas lost because of their defense?
Well, it was a lot of things going there. Number one, they did have injuries. Any team that has injuries, that's always going to throw in the mix, and most people don't want to pay attention to that because they don't follow injuries that much, not dedicatedly. They just go like, all right, you guys can do it. It was a number of things. Tony Romo had his better year, and it still didn't transfer over. But the part that they're saying is the play calling with Jason Garrett was not good, and he seemed not to have his hand on making them offensively to expectation. Now, this is the part I'm going with that's somewhat on the side of what you're saying, Mario. Everybody kept talking about Rob Ryan being the coach. I said, well, maybe somebody got him out of there before he could be considered. See, the part that makes me laugh.
Well, that's what I'm saying, because, in other words, that's why I was saying who fired him.
Right.
Yeah, because the owners usually don't fire the assistant, it's the coach.
And Jerry is the one who's the rare one who says, my name is and hands are on almost everything. And that's the thing he's known for.
Yeah.
So is this right now for Rob a letdown, AARP? Are you upset? No. Is he balling? Is he what? Big pimping? What do you think, Mario? I just think it's the business. He's taking he deserves it to some degree. He's being a scapegoat to some degree. Yes, he is.
And you could debate the degrees. Yeah. But I think most of us would say there's both of those are in there somewhere.
Yes, yeah.
And so that's the way it always is, isn't it? Yeah, so who cares?
Right. And he's
whatever.
And he's this people are going, well, somebody had to be served up. But what we're shocked at, I'm going Jason. If I had to compare the two, I said Jason Garrett is getting a pass.
That's what I'm saying. But I bet you, see, here's the thing. Remember, to appease Daddy, you want to at least say where you're going to make improvements. Here's the thing. Either you, at the end of a losing season, either you say, I was doing everything right, it was this, and this, so we're going to do everything the same.
That's right. You're not.
Or other ones, you can't say that.
Right.
So I think Jason Garrett knew, to me, that he had to come in and say to Daddy what he's going to do different. I don't think he can come in and say.
Everybody knows.
Right. And just like
Defense
I said.
wins championships.
Exactly. And at the Jets, the same thing.
Yep.
That he can't come in and say, I'm going to do things the same. So they fire people. And sometimes I think they do it just as a show of change.
That's right. And philosophically, they're going, maybe you did, maybe you were better as a defensive coach, but it wasn't good enough. And so maybe your bar is like satisfactory, but our bar, you're way below.
Yeah, and like you said, I wonder about the dynamic of Jerry Jones meeting with Jason Garrett, who he likes like a son.
There you
and
go.
saying, now, son, what you gonna do? You got to do something. Now, what you gonna do now?
You got to do things you don't like.
Yeah, sometimes he's thinking, what is Daddy saying to me? What is Daddy saying to me? I mean, who knows what the dynamics are, but you wonder.
No, you get served up, and we've been there. So, hey, look, that was my sports. I just wanted to let you guys know. Thanks so much. We're going to try to keep it going. We're going to follow up with the playoffs, the NFL playoffs, to see if you can continue following Ray Lewis and see if it's not going to be his last game coming up on that next playoff journey. And I'm telling you now, I don't know. You're going to be pulling for Baltimore. I'm not sure.
I'll pull for them, but they ain't got no chance.
Seattle now.
Everybody, Victor Alice, Neil Urban, look at sports. Hot, Neil Urban. Brought to you by the man that the ladies nickname Sexual Chocolate. It's sports.